This is a continuation of Pygame Tutorial 3. If you haven't already checked it out, go check it out. 3, where we make a platformer to help you practice. Today we're going to get an enemy collision between the player, a death screen, showing both enemy and player health on the screen. We're going to make following the enemy way faster because it's going very slow. So let's start with changing the order where DW and DH is declared. We're going to put this, and we're actually going to put it after window. This will make it accurate if we change the window size. And that's what we're going to do right now. Remove the flag, flag it out full screen. Then we're going to add 800, 800. If you remember from last tutorial, this will make the size 800, 800. 800 by 800. And that is a border right here. That border is annoying me while I'm trying to play the game, let's say, right? So we can change that by putting a flag, right? But a different flag. We're going to do pygame.noFrame. That border is called a frame, by the way. Right? No frame. And look at that. No border. But there's still a problem. The speed of the enemy. Did you just see how that was so slow? We're going to change the parameter to speed minus 0.8. And this will make it by the player speed. This is going way faster. And that's what we want. We need this platformer to actually die. Okay. Now, if we just sit around and touch there, we're not losing any health. Okay? So we need to make sure it loses health. And that we're going to do by checking collision. Now, to check the collision, we need to create variables to track the person. Okay? So we're going to do player R, and then we're also going to do enemy R. And now if we do, now these are our Pygame rects. We're going to use Pygame's built-in method to do if player r dot collide rect enemy r. Now this happens if the player is colliding with the enemy. Now to do that, we're just going to do player dot health minus equals 0.8. Okay. Now let's look at that. If we just sit around here, we're never gonna die, okay? And that's why we have to change that. We need to have a you died scene. For that, we're gonna make it easier by creating a function, okay? But before we create the function, we wanna check if we actually died. So we're gonna do player dot health. Now this returns the player health is less than or equal to 0. Now if it's less than 0 or equal to 0, we're going to call a scene that says you died. Window, DW, and DH. Now here we're going to create a function def you died. Window, DW, DH. You're going to be needing this, but quickly let's just check if it actually works. Window.fill 144, 200, 210. Right? Now if it changes the color, that means that we actually died. Give it a second, and look at that, we died. But it didn't show that. We never knew that we died. So we're going to add window.blit. That is going to add something to the screen as an image. So we're going to do pygame.font.sysfont. I'm going to font from the system. Comic Sans MS. That's going to be the font that we have. Now for the size, I'll just set it to 30. Okay. So now we're going to also put a thing that says we need to render this. This is just a font. We don't know what we're going to write, right? We're going to do .render. Now this is going to render it to the screen. We're going to do a you died. Now we also need other parameters like false. This is a default argument. We will cover that in the next video. Just stay tuned for that one. Now we also need to add the color of what we want the font to be. I'll make mine 255, 255, 255. That means the font color will be 255. Well, white, if we call that. Then we're also going to add dw/2. This is where it came in. dw/2 minus 120. Okay? Now this is going to put it in the full width divided by 2 and then minus 120 from that. Then we're also going to add 15, which will make it sort of in the higher part of the screen. Okay, so if we run this, this should render a "you died if we die" onto the page. Yeah, we had to capital the F too. Sorry about that. And look at that, it says "you died." That's pretty gorgeous, and we also have to do one thing. On normal "you died" pages, we have to make the player allowed to respawn. Right? We're going to create a button. Button is equal to pygame.draw.rect window. Yes, we're keeping track of this window. And then we're going to do, I guess, 244, 244, 244, 244. I think that's close to white. And then for this, we're going to do DW/2, right? And then we're also going to do here DH minus 200. This is where DH comes in, right? This is going to make it closer to the bottom of the screen. And then if we do 100, 100, that's the width and height of our button. So then we're going to do if button.collide point. The mouse is not a rectangle here, it is a point on Pygame, right? So now to get the position, pygame.mouse.get_pause. Now this is going to get the position of the mouse. Now that's only seeing if it's touching it. We also need to see if it's clicking it, right? And pygame.mouse.get_pressed 0. Now that means if we're also pressing on it. We're going to do global player enemy. Right, these are already global variables. We're going to set player and enemy to these trackers, right? The original. Since we're completely restarting, we're going to set it to these variables that we initiated. Okay, so now if we run it, we should see a rectangle when we die. And now if I click on it, it's a function. It's a return from a function. So now if we click on it, it restarts us. Look at that. I'm gonna die again, and you can restart again. It's infinite restarts for you. So this 0 here, if you're wondering what that means we left clicked on it. 2 means if we right click, I believe. Right, if we right click. So let's just right click on it instead. Yep, and it worked if I right click. But I'll keep it as left click because we don't want to right click to restart. Now, we are also going to, we never know the player health in this game. So after enemy R, we're going to add this to the screen, okay? Window.lit. Yes, we're going to do numbers here, okay? Pygame.font.sys font. I honestly like Comic Sans MS. You guys can do it whatever you like, but I like Comic Sans MS. Obviously at the size of 30. .render. This is going to render whatever we want to the screen. Now here is a number. We cannot actually do it as a number, so we're going to convert the number into a string type. We're going to use dir, then we're going to put player.health. Now this is, if we do that, it's going to give us the player health. But if we're losing health, it's going to turn it into some complex number, so we're only going to limit it to 5. To the string limit. Now we're also going to add false 200 10 10. That is the color. And then we're also going to add DW/2 minus 120, and then DH minus 100. So now if we run it, we see the player health. Yay! And see, and it's 279600, right? And now we're dead. Okay. But if we actually remove this thing, if you see that, you'll have some complex number when we're losing health. And we don't want the users to see that. That's why we're limiting it. And that's it for this video. If you liked it, drop a like. Thank you. Goodbye.
Subscribe.